The cast of Survivor 46 was so chaotic and nonsensical sometimes that I really didn't know if casting would be able to top it. But here we are again this season with yet another set of wild players as we try to figure out which one amongst them is our winner. The Survivor 47 premiere was very classic. There was idol drama, tribe drama, hygiene drama, all that good stuff. And I'm super ready to get into all of that. But before we begin, please make sure you hit that subscribe button below if you have not yet. I'll be here recapping Survivor all season long, and I do cover other competition shows too. So make sure you're subscribed below for some good reality TV content as we kick off this season. Now, let's get started. So as far as tribes go this season, it looks like we're keeping our same classic new era format with 3 tribes consisting of 6 players. I know there are people out there that were really hoping to see a change, maybe back to the 2-tribe format, just to switch up the dynamics of the game a little bit. But at this point, I just feel like they're going to keep the same 3-tribe format more or less until season 49 at least. As everyone arrives on the beach, Jeff joins everybody for the mat chat, and right off the bat, I see 2 familiar faces that some of y'all may recognize as well. First, we got John Lovett, who is one of the podcasters from Pod Save America. And I don't really listen to Pod Save America too much, but I did actually start listening to his personal podcast, Love It or Leave It, earlier this year. So I was generally just excited to see what he was going to do. And we also have Aysha on this season, who is another podcaster from the Rob Has a Podcast community. She's been podcasting about Big Brother and Survivor for a while now, and I've been watching her for years. So going into this season, I'm immediately going to stan. I'm just letting y'all know that right now. So everyone goes off to compete in the first reward challenge, and this one is a Survivor Classic. There's mud, there's sweat, there's puzzles, the whole 9 yards. In the end, the yellow tribe is able to pull out the win, leaving the other 2 teams to fend for themselves for supplies. Now the losers have to each choose one person to go represent for their tribe and compete for their reward, and the person they choose is gonna have to be really, really important because only one tribe will in fact get that reward. The other one is just gonna be shit out of luck. And can I just say, I absolutely love this change to the Savvy versus Sweat twist. It's a pretty similar concept at the end of the day, but I do think having this be a one-on-one battle just adds a lot more fun and drama to this whole thing, especially with the results that we're about to see in a moment. Aysha and TK are both picked from their tribe, and it looks like they're gonna have to compete this scavenger hunt type thing in the woods. For a while, it was looking like Aysha had it in the bag, until TK was able to sprint through the woods to the ocean and grab the key just in the nick of time. Of course, the funniest part of this whole scene was Aysha just saying fuck it and trying to grab and wrestle the key out of TK's hands, which she very much failed at. I mean, there was no way she was going to be able to overpower TK, let's be honest, but I still appreciated the moment, okay? It was giving very much Janelle from Big Brother. Give me that key, bitch! Now, Aysha has to go back to her tribe and explain to them why they still don't have supplies, which would freaking suck. On day 1, too, God, I would be so embarrassed, but luckily for her, it doesn't look like she gets too much pushback from this. Nobody even seemed suspicious that she could have an advantage or an idol that she found there either. In fact, it actually looks like she's able to bounce back pretty well from this and make up for some lost social time too. And by the end of this episode, it looks like she was able to put herself in a pretty good position on her tribe and gain some numbers. Teeny is a really big Survivor super fan, and she immediately recognized Aysha from her podcasting, so that's an instant bond there. Really, Teeny just seems to be in a pretty good spot overall. She also seems to be very well positioned within the tribe. It looks like a lot of people are wanting to bring her in as a number. I'm just hoping that she doesn't overplay her hand or make too many promises to too many people. Meanwhile, on the red tribe, Rome is starting to look pretty suspicious to everybody. He ends up finding a beware advantage and he starts hunting for the clues to be able to solve it, but it's like he's not even trying to be sneaky at all whatsoever. He's being very obvious, trying to hunt for this clue in broad daylight, and there's this part where he has to search in the drinking well for one of the clues. And mind you, they don't don't have soap or laundry service or shampoo or any of that stuff out there, right? Yet this man decides to dip half of his dirty body in the drinking water? Nope. Sorry. Stuff like that is so nasty to me. I don't even want to think about it. So now he's soaking wet and still being obvious and still getting caught red-handed at the same time. It is all a hot mess, but it's also a little bit funny to me. So now Rome has this big target on his back from his entire tribe. And it wasn't revealed to us on the show if he was really able to complete his mission and actually gain the idol or not. But for his sake, I'm surely hoping so. Meanwhile, on the blue tribe, it's kind of looking like Sue and Gabe could be the best position players over there, at least based on this first episode. Despite being the oldest in the game, it looks like a lot of people really want to work with Sue, which I love that for her. And Gabe is showing a little bit of promise too, especially after he finds his tribe's viewware advantage. Just like Rome, Gabe tries being sneaky here too, but even he gets caught by TK and then tries to kind of play it off. TK does kind of know that he's BSing him though, so there is a little bit of tension there that could be a lot of fun in the future, especially if this tribe ever ends up in danger. Now Gabe is eventually able to unlock his idol, and when he does, he discovers that there's an even bigger twist inside. This season, they've introduced what I'm gonna start calling the Inception idol, because it's an idol within an idol within an idol. Basically, the more clues you want to solve, the more powerful your idol becomes. Again, I love this slight tweak that they're introducing this season. It utilizes that same risk versus reward theme that they've been trying to use consistently in the new era, but it also really puts the players in the driver's seat and it gives them the choice to keep risking their game or not. Now, Gabe chooses to play the middle here, and he ends up stopping after the second step, which means his idol is now good for the next 3 votes, which honestly isn't that bad. I mean, yes, he could have continued risking it in order to get a stronger idol that will last him longer in the game, but I also really appreciate the fact that he was able to show some restraint here, because a lot of people don't have that instinct at all. Meanwhile, over on the yellow tribe, we see Andy running around trying to secure a bunch of numbers right off the bat. And he's making some headway, you know, he's getting really close to John as they try to build their camp. And he's also really trying to get close to Rachel, except for the fact that he's being kind of obvious about it, which is starting to sketch her out. So now Andy's starting to feel a little bit insecure because there's a little bit of rejection there, and he starts to break down just a little bit. And at this point, I am getting very nervous for Andy and his game, because it's only day 2, my guy, and yet you're doing all this already. Not a very good outlook. On this tribe, Sam was the one who impressed me the most. I really liked his spiel about wanting to be the glue guy on the team. And later on in the episode, he has some other reads that really impressed me too. So even in the first few days of the game, there's already a little bit of tribal drama and tension as they all head into the first immunity challenge. This is another very classic Survivor comp that starts off in the ocean, but as we see things quickly go awry, we have boats capsizing and people flailing around soaking wet trying to get it together. It is crazy. The only team that seems to really have things under control is the red tribe, who ends up pulling out the win. After that, the blue tribe ends up coming in second, leaving the yellow tribe stuck going into tribal council. And as if things aren't bad enough for the yellow tribe, it's about to get a whole lot weirder when Andy has this episode at the end of the competition. I'm not exactly sure what to call it. Like, I don't know if he was mentally stressed or physically stressed or realistically probably both. But after getting looked at by medical, I guess Andy has this clairvoyant look at the game for a second, because Andy decides to just word vomit his entire game, like everything that he's planning, to literally everybody, not just his tribe, but to Jeff, to the other castaways, to the fish in the sea.
My best friend out here is John. I was gonna throw him under the bus to try to stay. I just want to play the game.
I audibly gasped when he said that stuff about John. Like, why would he do that? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love this moment. It was great TV, and I actually thought John's response was pretty good, but still, yikes, right? Back at camp, Andy is doing his best to explain himself, but it's just still so sketchy because it's only day 3 and you're crashing out this bad already. It's just scary to have such a big liability on your team. So right off the bat, it's looking like all of the ladies are down to vote out Andy. But John's name does get thrown in the mix here, just as a fake out at first. And despite all of this weird drama between them, it looks like John does still want to work with Andy in some capacity, which I think is a very risky move since your 2 names are the only 2 that are floating around. So now these 2 guys are going to start pitching for Anika to go. It's just that she has more numbers than they realize. Things get even more interesting when people start to point out that even though Andy is a little bit of a wild card, he's still a pretty strong guy. So they're thinking it might actually be smart to keep him in order to help them win more competitions. Now, personally, if I was playing the game, I wouldn't want to put too much faith into the physical competitors because we all know that nowadays, the modern version of Survivor, the competitions usually come down to the puzzles at the end. That's literally why we call the puzzles the great equalizer. So I would probably want to push to keep the smarter players in the game and to vote out Andy instead. And I'm really surprised that the ladies didn't push for this too, because if they're going based on who's the strongest competitor, that means one of them would likely be next out. So overall, it's looking like there's a couple different options as the group heads to the first tribal council of the season. At the tribal, there's nothing too dramatic going on. There is some talk about Andy's episode, but it looks like most of that has been smoothed over, which makes a lot of sense because as the votes are read, we see that John Lovett is the first person voted out. Even Andy was able to read the room and vote out John, which I thought was very interesting. It just makes me wonder how he got clued in. Now, I do kind of understand them wanting John out, but probably for different reasons than what they were thinking. It would be more about his self-awareness and charisma to me than his physicality or lack thereof. I just wouldn't want to let a professional speechwriter get too far in this game. I definitely still expect Andy to be a wild card, which is a lot of fun, but we're gonna have to see if keeping him in the game really does bring that tribal win next week. Of course, I want to know, what did you think of this premiere episode? Who are some of your favorite players so far? Let me know in the comments below. Like I said before, Sam really impressed me a lot in this one. It definitely seemed like he got most credit for the John vote. Gabe stood out to me a lot on the blue tribe, but that also could just be because he found that beware advantage. And Aysha and Teeny both impressed me with their social games on the red tribe. But still, this is just the very beginning of a long and hopefully satisfying season, and there is a lot more game to be played. Of course, I'll be back here to recap with you all next week. But until then, bye.